in this case, if you are Stuart Bliss, you might learn whereabouts he is making that little bit of time. Unfortunately, the cameras in the commentary box have gone off. I'll have to log back in so we can see what's going on the other side of the circuit. But Stuart Bliss, I would imagine, is still in second place. Yes, he is, but he's coming under ever more pressure from Andrew Dyer behind. Richard Jepp is there or thereabouts, but it's the two teammates. It's one for the lead, two for second place, and then one back for third. It's the two Auto Bliss teammates heading their way through Murray's for the first time, trying to get the best run possible onto the very long centre straight for these, whether they be Citroën, Peugeot or Toyotas. It is a long, long wait until you've got to touch the brakes again, all the way around until you get to Wilson, tucked up against the pit wall just to try and get as much aerodynamic benefit as possible. But Andrew Dyer is not really closing in on the tail end of Stuart Bliss. We'll have a look further down to see what other battles we've got going on. There's a great battle between the number 88 and the number 30, that being Richard Snuggs. And I think it could have been Nicholas Goff that has dropped back a little bit, and he's found himself from 12th down to what, 14th or 15th, something like that. But it's the mid-pack where all the battles are really taking place. The leaders have somewhat calmed down.
It is, yeah, those top four have broken away, which I have to say is not what I was expecting, but fantastic driver from those guys. Again, though, it's just, Elliot Lettuce seems to be the pace of the field at the moment, with that ability just to eke out. He seems to have a small advantage at almost every corner. Possibly he's got his car completely well sorted, and he's 100% confident in it. And again, we said before, you just must not lose any speed, because you've got to work so much hard to get that pace off. If the engine comes off cam, if you lose momentum, just to accelerate these little cars back up to speed. And you can see them now coming out of Agostini's, and it's more of a battle. I think you're exactly right, for second and third between Bliss and Dyer, rather than our leader Elliot Lettuce, who is just extending that lead corner by corner. Just looking back into the field, and cars are actually just breaking up into little clumps, and just looking for any close battles. Again, they're all fairly spread at this point, I think, but evenly spread. It's only a couple of lengths between all the cars.
Yeah, it's the mid-pack where everything's going on, where you can't quite break away. You can try all you like, but you will bring somebody with you regardless of your overall pace, which I think is the tricky bit if you are in the mid-pack. The lead battle, like you say, massively opened up. By the looks of it, Elliot Lettuce is continuing to pull away by a very, very good margin indeed. Like I say, it's about a tenth a corner, but it's just enough. That means Stuart Bliss and Andrew Dyer can't quite work together enough to try and close that lead margin. The top four work their way through Nelson now. They are being hounded by the likes of Mackenzie and Ben Creaner, who has worked his way up 4 places on the first lap. That will be why I couldn't find him. The number 38 has, after starting in 10th place, did Ben, he's already worked his way up into 6th, and he's desperately trying to mount some pressure onto the tail end of Christopher Mackenzie, who started in 8th, and he's worked his way up into 5th place. So it seems like those mid-pack battles are really starting to close up. But at the moment, Christopher Mackenzie is still under pressure from Brent Creaner, and we could see maybe it can go one of two ways: either a very good battle, or they just start working together. They wave around in the cockpit, signal to the car behind, let's work together, let's catch that lead quartet. And I've got a feeling that's what's going on, because Ben Creaner, whilst he is gaining and gaining and gaining, he's not even jumping out to the slipstream to try and let him know his intentions.
Drivers love to work together. They also love to be the front car when working together. So there's always a little bit with the guy at the back. It's, can you trust him just to tuck in behind you and almost getting that double slipstream effect? Or is he still going to stick his nose down if you leave a gap and try and take the optimum line? But those lead 4 are coming through now on that run down to Palmer. And again, I think the gaps have pretty much stayed the same, but it was 0.7 to our leader across the line. And that's the gap I think he's holding right now.
I've just noticed heading in towards turn 1, Adam Reynolds under pressure. A big old moment on the inside of Oggies. I'm not sure whether he got some sort of issue, but he lost lots and lots of momentum, and these all go around Wilson at the moment. Heading in towards Agostini goes the rest of the pack. It's still that lead margin. The lead gap hasn't opened up too much. Arguably, I'd say Stuart Bliss has pulled away from Andrew Dyer, which has just allowed Richard Jepp to slowly close up as well. Richard Jepp definitely closer to 3rd place than we've seen him over the past couple of laps. The battle further back, I'd say Ben Creaner has lost time to Christopher Mackenzie again, but running very wide on the exit of Oggies. I didn't quite pick out who that was. It could have potentially been our race leader, Elliot Lettuce, but there was gravel thrown into the air.
That's interesting. Lettuce was the quickest car, set the fastest lap last time round. but less than a tenth, in fact half a tenth, see how good my maths is, can't you, is we've got Stuart Bliss, so he's living with that leader's pace, and I think that gap has stabilised now, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the remaining, gosh, we're already halfway through this race.
So we're halfway through this race and they're only on lap 3, and whilst they are setting some quite quick lap times compared to what we would expect, obviously a 236.285 is the fastest lap held by our race leader, Elliot Lettuce. That is still some seconds slower than what we saw him this morning. Could be because it has got colder, now it's very, very overcast. The wind has picked up as well, and you might think wind doesn't play a massive part, but you've got a very nice tailwind all the way down the centre straight. But then, as you're heading up the Bentley Straight in towards Brundle and Nelson, it's going to be a headwind. So it means that you might just lose a couple of miles an hour here or there, which can affect these cars because they don't have monumental power figures. We'll wait to see.
Move it back into our view. That gap has extended. It was 0.7 across the line last time. Second and third very, very close together. Bliss and Dyer right behind. The gap's gone out to 1.6.
Yeah, and another fastest lap of the race last time through from Elliot Lettuce, a 2:35.626, so now only half a second slower than what we saw in qualifying. He's got the bit between his teeth and he is pushing forward now just to try and extend that lead margin, escape any attacks from behind, and it's definitely working. Visually it's come out, and on the timing screen it definitely has. The battle for second place, like you mentioned, Stuart Bliss and Andrew Dyer well and truly nose to tail. If they continue to battle the way they are, Richard Jep could slowly work his way in towards the podium places once again after starting in third place. He will try and
Dyer now definitely thinks he's the man to chase the leader. I think he thinks he's the quicker car, and he's really trying to push his teammate hard.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got his lights ablaze, so maybe a little bit of communication there between the pair of them. If you've got your lights on, it arguably shows you are the quicker driver, so he's just turned his lights on, letting him know that he does mean business and trying to potentially usher his teammate on, because of course that means that Andrew Dyer can see Richard Jep behind, and if he can see he's getting closer, what better way to communicate it to your teammate?
That's right, yes, and although of course the one car you never want any contact with is your teammates, that's always in the back of your mind. You are probably sharing the same dining table tonight. But just watching them now, actually going through Palmer, and again they're closing up that leader. Strange, as part of the circuit, the gap doesn't look as big as it was when it comes into our sight, but I suspect that when we see him again halfway through Coram, and for the run from the bomb hole to the Coram, we're going to see again that gap open up.
Yeah, down the start, or down the back straight, down the Bentley Straight, Elliot Lettuce really starting to pull away now. He's not really too bothered about anybody behind. He's continuing to push forward, and he's just continuing to extend that lead margin. We look back up to the cameras, and visually that gap has come out ever further. The battle for third place, or the battle for second place, is arguably between 3 cars now, because much closer is Richard Jep. Andrew Dyer still the meat in the sandwich, trying to usher his teammate Stuart Bliss on as they reappear into Coram, the lead 3. I would say Andrew Dyer is now playing rear gunner, having tried to force Stuart Bliss back up to the leader. Andrew Dyer is now protecting his teammate and protecting his third place, because it does mean that Richard Jep is getting very close indeed. Last time through, the gap between themselves was 8 tenths. I'd say it's much less than that between third and fourth now.
Very much so. It's Toyota at the front, then we've got the 2 Peugeots and then the Toyota again. It's interesting, as that last Toyota is suddenly the car looking a bit racy. Stuart Jep in fourth place as they, I do love, you're exactly right, they're hugging the pit wall for as long as they possibly can before sweeping across to move to the left of the track for the right-hand, which is the first corner on the circuit.
Yeah, it's all those little aerodynamic benefits that you can get. If it does mean that you've got a little bit less air resistance and